Welcome to episode 65 of Talking Prisoner. My name is Matt Batten. I'm your host. Episode 65 is a part of our true crime series where we delve into the lives of identities that have spent time in prison and we get to know what it's really like in jail. My guest today was a former sergeant of arms of an outlaw motorcycle club. He spent over 10 years in one of Australia's most notorious prisons and a maximum security prison. His father passed away whilst he was in prison, and it was then he wanted to turn his life around. He's now a very successful business owner. Welcome to Talking Prisoner, Ben Salgado. Great to have you on, my friend.
Great to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we finally got there.
Yeah, yeah, we're here now.
To say I'm excited is yeah, I've been looking forward to this all week because you've had the most interesting life. And this podcast is obviously about a TV show called Prisoner, where I've interviewed cast from the show, but I like to get the actual reality of prison.
I
Uh,
actually haven't seen the show to be honest, but
that's all right.
I need I should sit down and watch it, but I don't watch much TV anymore. I
You
think
don't.
in jail I watched enough TV to last a lifetime. So if it wasn't free to air, I didn't watch it, but if it was, then I watched all of it. So I don't like looking at the screen anymore. I
I,
don't look at the TV screen. A lot
yeah.
on my phone.
Does it bring back so if you do watch the show on TV, like does it bring back memories of being in prison? Like just having
I tell
this.
you what brings back memories is Carl Stefanovic. That's who
Okay.
brings back memories. Yeah, the morning show on Channel 9. Waking up with today. That's yeah. As soon as you wake up, that's what you see. So,
So would you ever want to be interviewed by Carl or
um, I don't know. I wouldn't mind it, but maybe not. I don't know. I never thought of it. I don't think the opportunity will come up, to be honest. So
yeah, that's cool, man.
he's all right. I like Carl.
Yeah, he's good value.
Yeah.
Um, Now you grew up in Mount Druitt. Now we've got a worldwide audience and around Australia as well. Can you tell us about Mount Druitt and what it was like growing up there as a child?
It's the western suburb. It's one of the western suburbs of Sydney. It's a lot of housing commission around, so there's a lot of kids I guess not being raised right. They're getting around. They think that um breaking into cars and bashing people and robbing people probably the best way to get money, easiest way to get money, or selling drugs. But it's funny because all the money goes back to drugs and then they start taking those drugs. It's grown a bit now. There's like it's a bit better now than it was. Well, us it seems a bit better now than it was when I was a bit younger. But yeah, that's where I grew up.
Yeah. And so was it like quite rough that it was just like bashings going on all the time, theft, drug
Th-
deals?
There was definitely all that stuff. A lot of people wouldn't see that stuff as well that live in the area. But if you're on the streets every night at midnight, you see a lot of it. Like a lot of people walking the streets drunk, and then when someone's not thinking right because they're drunk, the shit happens.
Yeah. Was back then, were there a lot of I interviewed a governor of a prison from the UK last year, Mount Joy
Yeah.
Prison, and one thing he pointed out to me, there was a lot of kids that follow in the footsteps of like he saw a lot of parents that are in jail and then the kids go to jail. Was there a lot of sort of parents that were involved in that lifestyle as well back then?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's true as well. So there's a lot of crime that goes on in Mount Druitt, and most kids that get involved in crime, you can probably bet that their parents have been to jail or been arrested or something to do with crime. I reckon maybe 8 out of 10.
Oh, that much.
So
Ah,
yeah,
wow.
8 out of 10 kids that get up involved in crime, their parents are have been involved in crime. So
Yeah.
I was not one of them kids, so I think my mum and dad didn't get involved in any crime. I was the only one that actually got involved in crime, especially um how involved I was in crime. So and it was all aspects.
Yeah, you mentioned on, I've listened to a few of your podcasts. You mentioned that as a child you had no goals. So was that why that you got into crime? Is that where it started? As-
Yeah, I didn't have an actual goal. So I didn't when I growing up, I'm like I wasn't studying for something specific. I wasn't working towards something specific. It was just like I was growing up and I was learning from what I was seeing. So when I went on the street, I'm seeing what other kids are doing, other adults are doing. There's a lot of crime around, so that's what I wanted to do. That's what I thought was cool, I guess, or something to aspire to.
yeah. And were you at school at that stage? Like, or you just like not at
Yeah,
school? You were?
yeah. I was at school at that stage. I always had that attitude of um a rebellious attitude, even when I was like pretty much a baby. So growing up in Mount Druitt, seeing all those things, it wasn't hard for me to follow in those
Yeah.
negative footsteps, I guess.
Yeah. And did your parents sort of try and steer you in the right direction, or was you just too rebellious? It was just too out of control?
I think I hit it well. I think I hit it well. Um, they definitely would have steered me in the right direction. Mum hid a lot from my dad, so if my dad knew, he would have probably steered me a lot more in that direction. Yeah, I think it just I kept a lot of it secret. So
Yeah. And what about when you're at school? Did your school friends or the kids at school know that you were sort of like a kid not to fuck around with? You know.
I guess so. Yeah, there was a lot of like I was always rebellious when I was a kid, like I was saying. So anything that caused mayhem, I was like surely involved in. Um, so they knew that if something that was disturbing the peace, I guess, that I was probably involved in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
didn't last long in high schools, like expelled. I don't think I lasted more than 18 months in any school.
okay.
Yeah.
And when you finished school, what was the sort of the first thing as a job? Did you go and get a job straight after school or?
I tried to get a job. I was tried to do air conditioning, refrigeration, like apprenticeship, but it didn't last long because I just didn't really want to work. And I guess the my work mates or work environment wasn't suited to me as well.
Yeah.
Um, it all seemed a bit too hard because I didn't know where I wanted to go. So I just know people work to get money, and I'm going to work to get money. I can get money in different ways, like easier.
Yeah.
So that's I just didn't see a future in I didn't see like didn't have a 5 year goal or anything like that. I just like wanted money now. This is how I get money. It's easier than go on the work. And
Yeah.
then um the way I was making money was selling drugs and breaking into houses, which usually when I'm doing stuff like that, it gets I use that money to take drugs and buy stuff to help me
Yeah.
do yeah, live that lifestyle.
Yeah. And what breaking into someone's house, like what's the adrenaline like? What's going through your head? Like you know,
I guess it's just like when you take the emotion out of it, it's just like any other job. You got a job to do. You look around, you can't get caught. Um, you know, you think, how can I do this? How can I do that? You're just working stuff out. So I guess when you take the emotion out, when you can take the emotion out of something, you see it as just another job.
yeah,
It's just hard for someone to take the emotion out of it, especially when you see like when you see things, like families going to be upset at you breaking the door or you hurting someone or
yeah.
whatever it is.
Because one thing I've learned about you just through the other podcasts is you're very focused in what you do. You know, even
Yeah.
what you're doing now, but back then I'm assuming you would have been very focused in that life as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I remember saying to someone when I decided to become a bikie, I want to do this hard out. Like I want to go 100%. So I guess when I decide something, I go 100%. Just like when I decided to start my own PT business, I went 100%. I didn't like
Yeah,
it. Everything was just revolved around that.
yeah, which we will talk about shortly. Now, so your first brush with the law, with the police, your first charge was drugs and home invasions. Is that right?
It's not my first charge. My first adult charge was the home invasion. I'd been charged when I was a kid numerous times and gave them numerous chances and um, days, overnighters in juvie and a lot of cautions and conferences and stuff like that. But I was given heaps of chances, which I was pretty lucky. But then when I was 18, I committed a really serious offense, which was a home invasion, which is breaking in a caused GBH. So I really hurt a couple of people, and then um, they're not going to give me another chance for that. So they put me in jail for that.
Yeah. Have you ever reached out to anyone that you hurt along the way now that you're a different person?
I actually haven't,
Okay.
um, and I wouldn't know how to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if they would want me to. I'm not sure.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, it is because who knows, me reaching out to them that they might bring up trauma or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I never actually thought about it to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. I don't know if I want to look into it to be honest. But
Yeah,
if
no,
someone approached
yeah,
me and if someone approached me from my past and said I was affected by you, definitely I would be apologizing to them. I'd be showing some sympathy and asking for forgiveness for sure.
yeah. How long was your first sentence for that you got put in jail?
3 years, 3 months.
Okay. And was that a
Yeah.
goal?
That wasn't a Goulburn. That was see when you spend time in remand, they move you around in jail. So I was at Parkley, well, Silverwater, then Long Bay, then Parkley. So I spent a lot of my remand on at Parkley. Um, then I was sentenced, went to a young offenders um program, which I failed, and got moved to Bathurst, which got tipped from there for causing trouble again, and moved on to Wellington, and then got out from Wellington. Yeah.
Okay. And what sort of trouble would you cause to get flipped from another jail?
Uh, just not complying usually, just things around that, fighting, not letting the officers in the young offenders program. I think a lot of kids were there, so the officers would treat people like kids.
Yeah.
And I wasn't having it, so I didn't like being treated like a kid. So I would uh, s- yell back at them or not listen to them, just not comply. When they were rude to me, I would let them know
Yeah.
with a lot of swear words and aggressive behavior how much that pissed me off, you know.
Yeah. So when you got out, was this when you joined an outlaw motorcycle club?
I joined inside
Okay.
towards the end of my sentence, probably the last year of my that first sentence. Um, Opportunity come up, I denied it. And then a further opportunity come up where um they were showing me a lot of benefits. So um I took that opportunity. And then when I got out, I went head first into that lifestyle.
That life. I do want to talk about a few things from that lifestyle. I don't know what you can and can't talk about, so just if there's something that we can't, just we'll move on. But
Yeah.
so you said you in jail that you joined the club. Is that a common thing? I know nothing about that lifestyle, but
I think it is. I think it actually is, yeah. Um when you're in jail, if you it's funny because you want to stay out of trouble by not taking drugs. You want to stay out of trouble by training every day, keeping your head down. Um, these are things you want to do in if you ever land in jail to avoid any sort of drama or any further to just get through it, you know? Um, I done those things apart from keep my head down. So I stayed away from drugs. I trained every day, but because I kept my head up, then it sort of made me attractive to join gangs, I guess.
Yeah.
My head screwed on and I'm involved in criminal activity. So I think that's what
That's why
gets looked good.
because they don't want to let just anyone in, do they? I mean, I've heard a lot of stories where they let a lot of people in and it gets really hectic and
Yeah.
it's crazy. So, I mean, this was a club that was quite strict on who they let in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think a lot of clubs are like that, but they loosen the rules a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so what you get out of jail and you're straight into the club, the 100%, that's your life. That's
Yeah.
all it's about. Um, do you become, can you just explain to the viewers what a sergeant at arms, what they do? Like what's the ranking for that in a club?
So they take care of keeping the members in order and also if there's any outside noise, they also lead that charge to keep that in order. So the president is obviously in charge, but delegates to the sergeant arms to take care of the members to sort other stuff out. I
Okay.
guess that's probably the way to
Yeah.
describe it.
So you're a pretty serious guy in the club. Like you're pretty high up and looking after.
Was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have to have an ego to be in a club to be feared? Do you need to be feared to be in a bikie club?
Yeah, definitely. You definitely need to have an ego and you definitely need to be have some element of being feared or heavily respected. Uh, I would say heavily respected, but you also need that element of fear as well. You need to be taken as a serious person,
Yeah.
not just an ordinary person. Um, but yeah, you definitely need to have an ego. You need to I guess th like looking back now, things that like little things like being called one word, you need to take that to an extreme level when you're in a club. It seems that way, but now, yeah, it's a bit cringe to be honest to think that being called one word would elevate you to be violent.
Yeah. Wow. So obviously they thought pretty like high of you because normally the process is you've got is it called a nominee or a nom to get
Yeah,
into a club and you've got to obviously do like an apprenticeship. Is it?
pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much what a nom is, an apprentice. Yeah,
And you didn't have to do any of that.
I did do that. I was a nom for about a month,
Okay.
uh, a bit over a month, I guess. Yeah,
And what's that like doing that? Is that like you just can't wait till you finish that and get stuck into
well, different members have different nomination process. So I guess for me, I didn't have to do too much apart from sit at the door at a few meetings and
yeah,
um, I guess drive some members around. But I never sat behind a bar or poured a drink that I can remember
yeah,
while I was a nom. Which that's a lot of nom duties are sitting behind a bar, sitting at the door, opening the door for people that need to drive in, just like things like that.
yeah, yeah. Do you think shows like say Sons of Anarchy and those things like glamorize, make people think, oh, I want to join a club, want to be in it. This is how it all works.
Definitely. It definitely glamorizes it because it's showing you all the action, not the what ends up happening when you're taking that action. Like if you go and just say blow a car up. I'm assuming that they do that in one episode because
Yeah.
I can't even remember the episodes, but let's say they do that. Then the next day they're just moving on to something else. But really, it's an investigation over that. You can go to jail for that, and then you're literally sitting in jail looking at four walls. There's no more action. Like it's complete boredom.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a plenty of downside to it.
Yeah. And is it a real brotherhood where you go to jail and you're in the club and you're still being looked after, your family's been looked after, everything's being taken care of? Or
In some circumstances, I guess I was sort of I was sort of looked after. Um, it was like being a bit of disrespect. It's just different members. It's not just the whole club that helps you out. It's the different members in the club. So there's a couple people that have helped me out, a couple people that just disrespect
yeah,
my family by not helping them when they ask for help or yeah, so it's a bit of both. But I guess some would have full respect from their club. Some would have full disrespect from their club when they go to jail. So
yeah,
I guess it's a case by case basis.
yeah. I've read a lot of stories, documentaries, and everything about clubs here and overseas. Do you think the media makes some clubs out to be a lot worse than what is actually going on?
It's not the clubs that are bad. So the club's actually not too bad. It's just the criminal activity is what's bad. It's just a pity that most clubs are full of those criminals.
Yeah,
But that it's sort of so yeah that they put them in a pigeonhole so all clubs are yeah
yeah,
pretty bad because there's a lot of crime that happens from those clubs,
yeah. But essentially, it's a brotherhood. I mean, it's just guys riding around on bikes and
which is what I was saying before, where the clubs aren't the actual problem. Like it's not the clubs that are going out and committing those offenses. It's the individuals in the clubs.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a bunch of brothers going for rides. They're bike enthusiasts, but then there's also uh, criminals that are also bike enthusiasts that want to be in
yeah,
there that are going out and giving them a bad name, I guess. And then you got the media that's all about hype and elevating. Uh, they want drama. They want to sell drama, I guess.
of course.
So when something happens, they're gonna make it out worse than what it actually is.
Yeah, the headlines.
Well,
Uh,
there could be a shooting on TV, and straight away they say some sort of bikey links or something like that. It's always, and that could have nothing to do with any bikies.
and that's what fascinates me about the media now, and it's changing. But there could be like a bikie shooting or something, but then they'll put a photo of, say, the president of a club that actually had nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with it, yeah.
But your head's there, your face is there, and it's out there, and they associate you with that. It's
And
crazy.
everyone just assumes that that's what it is. Yeah.
It's mental. Do you miss the life at all?
No,
No,
nothing about it.
nothing about it.
Nothing about it.
Yeah. Is it a hard thing to leave, to get out of, or?
Uh, Look, I didn't just wake up and just have a different mindset. It was like a process, but I had a long time to process that I sat in jail the last time for 7 years and I thought I left the club, I think 2.5 years or 3 years into the sentence. So I had about a year before that where I was like having doubts. Well, I think when I first went in jail, like 6 months later or maybe a year later, I started having doubts. They were just little bits of doubts, and then I'd left, but then sort of still stuck around the mindset. Still entertained the idea of it, and then I just distanced myself a little bit more and more. I ended up doing a lot of segregation, which A lot of reflection happens during that segregation. So then I was able to think about things and brainstorm the positives and negatives of being in a or any crime, to be honest, let alone in a outlaw motorcycle um circle.
Yeah. So being a guy that's 100% focused and gives everything to that, did you aspire to sort of like become president of the club one day? Was that like in your vision?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Although it was in my vision, but I was so loyal to a couple of other people that I would never want to be separate from them. So it was in my vision to progress in climb the ladder, but I never really wanted to overtake the people that I had respect for.
Yeah.
So that was never in my vision to take over these people because I was a very loyal person. But maybe to join them somehow.
Yeah.
Or but yeah, I definitely had um climbing the ladder in my mind.
Yeah. So you're in the club, everything's cool. Then you just mentioned before, then you got a big whack of 7 years in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, well, at first it was 10 years on the bottom, 15 years on top. So that was first. And then I appealed that and then won the appeal. So it all happened. The appeal actually come in the same month that my dad passed away while I was in segregation.
Ah,
It
okay.
was also at the same time that my partner left me. So within 1 month,
Ah,
all this big news had happened. So that definitely was a big wake up call in every way.
can we go back just a minute? Because I do want to talk about that. But what can you talk about why you went into for that long?
Why I went into jail for that long?
Yeah. What did you do to?
I was um high up in a well, it was pretty much drugs and money, but they found me the principal of the operation. So because I was the principal of the operation, even though the drugs they were a large commercial quantity, but even though they weren't a massive large commercial quantity, it's because I was high up in I was actually the principal of it. That's why they gave me so much time.
Such a big whack. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's when you went to Goulburn. Now, I just want to read something about just so everyone knows
I
what.
was actually went to Goulburn before that. So
Oh,
I,
before
I
that.
was in jail. Yeah, I was in jail. I went to jail 4 times. So after the 3 month whack that I done, I got out for 3 months and went straight back inside. And that's where I landed in Goulburn.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Goulburn Jail's been described by a royal commissioner as brutal, savage, and sadistic. It's housed people like Malcolm George Baxter, who shot 7 people dead, Leslie Camilleri, who killed the biggest schoolgirls, Robert Hughes, the actor from Hey Dad, who sexually assaulted girls between the ages of 6 to 13. So it housed some pretty high-profile criminals. Would you agree that that's what Goulburn's like, described by the Royal Commissioner?
Um, Most of them guys were pretty quiet in there, but yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, it gets out of hand. Like it's a different environment there. Um, yeah, it's different to any other jail. It's like you can feel the energy of the jail when you first get there. Puts you in a different mindset.
Yeah, I could imagine. And
I think it's good because it's got such a hard reputation. It's either gonna um a lot of people just don't want to be there, so they'll what we call bail. They'll take off. They'll tell the guards they can't be there. They're scared, whatever it is, or they'll switch up and um become or gain a tough exterior, which if everyone's trying to put on that tough exterior, then um they're all at I guess they're at competition who's the toughest and yeah, and it excels the energy, the or negative energy, or the
Yeah.
yeah,
And when you say they bail, where do they bail to? Like another part of the prison or?
yeah, well, half when I was there, half the prison is protection. So they had all different yards. They had all different race yards. They had, I think, four race yards, and then the protection units were split into four different yards as well. And they were categorized by colors. So if they bail, they would either go into one of those yards or they would go into segregation and move jails.
Okay. And when you say separated by race with the yard, so is that like Asian inmates in one yard, Australian? Is that how that like what are the
So Caucasian Australians didn't have a yard, but they shared yards with other nationalities. Like there was an Aussie Islander yard, so there's an Islander yard, then the Asian yard, and the Aboriginal yard, and the Lebanese yard. So there
yeah,
were the four race yards. So then everyone else would have to fit into one of those yards.
yeah. And for someone like yourself, like you've done jail prior and now you've got a longer sentence, did it break, was it breaking you or did it?
Nah, it was making me, to be honest. It was making my uh I guess criminal reputation. I was sort of wanted to put that hardened exterior um into play and show how tough I was, I guess. That's how I just wanted to get involved in it. Like what else did I have to do? Like this was my life now, so I
Yeah.
have to like reach the top. So I have to, yeah, just get involved.
And being such a serious player on the outside world, Sergeant at Arms, did you have a lot of inmates inside that were like, you know, doing a lot of things for you, helping you out, looked up to you?
When I first got to Goulburn, I wasn't the sergeant at arms at that time. Um, but when I first got to Goulburn, I had other friends there or club mates or they were members where we sort of hung out every day. Uh, the longer I was there, the more moves I started pulling, the more people I started having working for me under me, and then that yeah, it got to a point where I could get a lot of people to do a lot of stuff for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And did the screws fear you as well? Or
I remember one of my mates come there and said, anything you want from here, just ask Ben, he can get you anything. Um, yeah, I actually remember there was a bloke, or a few people used to actually get people to go out on visits and actually sticks up their asses to bring it in. So, like you could, I was in that position where I could get someone to do stuff like that for me. Like there was no, there was no, there was nothing that I guess I could really not get done.
yeah. And being so high profile and having, so many people look up to you inside, were you watched a lot by the
Yeah,
officers?
watched and rated and yeah, it was a constantly you had to be on your toes all the time. With in the yard, you have to be on your toes for other inmates trying to, I guess, pull a move on you. And then when you're in your cell, you got to watch out. We used to have a little circle hole that we used to look out of, and we constantly watch to see if we're going to get raided or um yeah, that was a daily thing. So it was always we were always on our toes. We were always stressing about something.
Yeah. So when they come and raid a cell, they just come and tear up the whole thing. You're just like thrown out of it and
Yeah. Yeah, they put you in handcuffs, smack your head up against whatever needs to be smacked up against. They'll put you outside and then they'll just start ripping your cell apart.
wow, wow, it must be intense. One podcast you did, you were talking about how you had to carry blades around in prison because it was so bad. I mean
Yeah.
like us on the outside wouldn't think of stuff like that. I mean, was it that
Yeah.
bad that you have to carry a blade around all the time?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we constantly be looking at like things that we can make blades out of. So literally anything. Like you look at anything around, and we're sort of like even this can like that can be shaped into some sort of blade. Um, these pens can be like shaped into some sort of blade. So you had that something like something that could, I guess, get through someone's skin because other people had the same thing. So you need to be able to protect yourself. Yeah,
Yeah. And what was
even like grates on walls used to get torn off. Anything really.
wow. So you're always just looking around of anything you can make a weapon out of.
Yeah, yeah. It was just like I guess being that bored in jail too, so it gives you something to do as well.
And that's one of my questions as well, is does boredom play a big part on why there is so much like violence and different things that go on in jails because of boredom?
Definitely, yeah. If you feel my time, if you feel if my time was filled up with something else, I wouldn't even be I guess thinking about looking on a wall for a blade because I'd be too busy doing something else.
Yeah.
So there was work. So a lot of inmates they have a industry which I didn't even know. I never went into industry once when I was at Goulburn, so I didn't even know what it looks like. But a lot of people used to go to work, which used to fill their time out, which used to keep them out of trouble, I guess.
Yeah. Wow.
It's
Um,
just not enough. There's just not enough work for all the inmates. So, and then one little stuff up at work, and they'll sack you, or yeah.
yeah. Can you tell the listeners and viewers like what's the daily, you know, the daily life of being in prison? Like you wake up, what's the process for the whole day?
It's a proper routine. So whatever jail you're at, the days are going to be exactly the same. So it just depends which jail you're at. Would depend on your routine. So you mentioned Goulburn before. So at I can't even remember what time let go was. Um, but in the morning they used to let go by the yards. So you open your cell, you walk out into the yard. You'll stay in the yard until lunchtime, which you get your lunch. Stay in the yard again, and then at 2:30 you get mustered up, put in your cell, and then you stay in your cell for the rest of the day.
Oh, that's it,
So
2:30. You're there.
that's yeah, that's it. 2:30, you're in your cell. A lot of jails now it's 2 p.m., 1:30 p.m. I think. Um, you're in your cell, and then they let you go maybe at 7 a.m. It just depends which jail you're at, but there's a lot of the time is spent in the cell with just you, and hopefully you got a TV in there and four walls.
Yeah. And you're sharing a cell with someone or
Usually you would share the cell with someone. There's some cells where you would have 1 outs. There some cells you have 4 outs. In minimum security, it's a bit different. But this is all max I'm talking about.
yeah. And what do you do if you're in a cell with someone you don't like? Like what happens there? Do you
Yeah, well, you have to deal with it.
to deal
Some
with?
one way or the other, you got to deal with it. Um, yeah, it depends how much you don't like him, I guess, and depends how far you would go to switch your cellmate. Um, you can always request to just change your cellmate. That's probably an easier way.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't like doing changes, so you have to wait maybe a week or two. You have to spend with the bloke before you can change. And if you can't handle that, then you have to take some other measure to not be with him.
Okay. Fair enough. Um, Now with the officers, well, it's screws you call them. Do you think they make life harder in jail intentionally? Some of them, the ones that
A lot do. I guess they probably get bored too, being at work. So some of them, um, they like a bit of action, so they'll stir some inmates up that are already going through a hard time. And someone going through a hard time doesn't take much for them to lose it. So it could just be like one word said to them in an aggressive way for that inmate to lose it, and then that inmate ends up in segregation for 2 weeks to 3 months because he's been stirred up, losing all privileges, no TV. It's probably going to be a very hard time for him for the next few weeks,
yeah,
and the officers just goes home and doesn't even take a second thought about it. That's afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What was one of the worst things you've seen in jail?
Uh yeah, well, I probably won't point out. Oh, I'd probably name a couple of things where they're called well, I better not say that actually. Look, homemade enemas. I've seen that a couple of times. Do you know what an enema is? Where they
Yeah, yeah,
um yeah, flushing someone's ass out to to get something out. Stabbings, group, group bashings. Yeah. I won't pick
yeah.
out
So
too much stuff.
effectively, it's like a pressure cooker, really, isn't it? Like it's just you're always on edge, you're always looking
It
around.
is. It's a good way to explain it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Now you were in jail while when COVID happened as well. How hard was that to deal with when COVID broke out?
That was probably the hardest time I had in jail because you don't get any visits. You are locked in your cell most of the time. So it was already bad enough as it was. But now you don't get any yard time because they're scared of one person getting COVID and spreading it through the whole jail.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was times there where there wasn't even COVID in the jail until they started bringing people from outside of the jail.
Uh,
So yeah, there was no visits, so they full cut off visits. They introduced tablet visits, which weren't the same because you couldn't hug your family. So um, yeah, it was really hard at that time.
because I'm assuming a visit is something that you really look forward to, like in prison is you know,
Yeah, you actually live. You get through the weeks waiting for that visit.
yeah,
So like on Monday morning, you're ringing your family up. Are you going to book a visit for me? And Tuesday, that you find out if they got a visit. On Wednesday, you're like just getting through the week to get to the weekend to see your family.
yeah.
Um, and then Friday's the day before visit, so you um just hang on for that one more sleep, and then you wake up and it's visit, and then you have your visit, you walk out of the visit, and then you're a bit sad because you had to leave your family, and then you wait for the next week to start the process again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, Now I want to talk about. I lost my mum in 2017 suddenly, and I was able to go and sort the funeral out. I was able to do all the things, make the calls, and then here's you. You're inside. You're in jail. You've lost your father. You must have like felt really helpless at the time. Like I couldn't imagine what you were going through to lose your dad and not being able to do anything.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was in segregation at the time when I found out my dad was first hospitalized, and then a bunch of other stuff was happening around me at the time. I got out of segregation, and that day, I got a phone call saying Dad passed away. So that was during COVID as well. So we were already locked in. No visits, no nothing was happening. It was towards the end of COVID, um, and it fully broke me, which I was already broken. I was already having, I was already going through the process of like, that's enough, no more jail. Like, and then Dad got
This is
sick,
where
and
it was
then
all. It was a turning around for you then before you.
this was all happening in the 1 month pretty much like
Okay.
yeah, that mindset, and then Dad actually passed away, and yeah, I was like broken. Like I would never show too much emotion in jail, but at that time I didn't give a shit. Like um yeah, everyone sort of respected it, me showing the emotion as well. So um yeah, I guess when you show that sort of emotion in jail, you're worried about being seen as weak. So I was fortunate enough that I had a reputation strong enough, I guess, that no one see me as weak when I was showing the emotions of losing my dad. So
Yeah. In is there support in jail for people? I'm assuming loved ones are lost all the time with people in jail, but is there like a support network for people like for yourself when you're in jail?
uh look, there's nothing official. It's just you just got to reach out to the right people, I guess. I was pretty lucky that they gave me the iPad to do a video call when my family were in the hospital making the decision to let dad go because he was going to make it. Yeah, I was involved as much as I could, I guess. And they helped me out a lot during that process, which um, I guess, sorry, sorry, you just cut out then. Um, yeah, which helped me get onto the rehabilitation track. They showed me I guess they showed me a bit of mercy when I was like broken.
Yeah.
So yeah. And if they didn't show me that, I think it would have been a different I'd still be in jail for sure.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but would like not yourself, but another inmate, if they'd lost a loved one, could it go two different ways where they go completely, you know, want to start a riot, want to bash someone, they've got so much anger because they've lost someone, or they go a different way where they want to get out of jail, like they don't want to go through this anymore.
Yeah, well it's either one or the other. So I think because I was shown uh compassion, I guess, when dad passed away, I went down a different path. But if they just cut me off and said bad luck, shit happens, whatever, like it would have been pretty bad. I can guarantee you, like it would have been my mindset would have just been into um just wanted to get back at people. I would have been blaming people instead of understanding the situation. When I blame people, would have taken action against them. It would have been a different mindset.
Yeah, definitely. Now you're also able to go to your dad's funeral, which was quite
Yeah.
extreme. What was the process for that? Security, logistics, and things like that.
Yeah, it was um the governor at Bathurst Jail that sent me to Windsor without approval yet. So I hadn't got full approval to attend the funeral. But it was in process. So they escorted me to Windsor just in case I did get approval on the last day to be able to go. And lucky enough that the governor at Windsor Jail approved it straight away. And then there was three guards that took me. And I remember uh one of the guards when they were taking me, he went and read my file and then he went back to the governor and then he was like asking like I didn't know what he was doing. He was asking questions, and then the governor come see me after the funeral, and he goes, "Yeah, they were a bit worried to take you because they read your file and seen some charges and stuff like that." So, but when he and then he said to me, "I knew you weren't going to cause any trouble," so I told him, "Listen, 100% he's not going to cause any trouble. Just let him go. He's going to grieve with his family." So then they were like pretty good when I went to the church. They literally sat out the doors or sat in the crowd, which was only one exit of the church. So, and they let me do whatever I wanted. So I could
Oh,
grieve properly. So that would like really help me.
oh wow. That's great that they did that.
Yeah.
And was that I mean, it must have been a tough day for you too, like coming from prison, grieving your dad, and then having to go back, I'm assuming that day as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, Seeing all my family and then like coming from that environment too, it was like very like I had a bit of social anxiety as well. Like coming straight from prison, which I'm by myself, to about 150 people that I know.
Oh,
And that I don't know. I know them some of them really well, and I only know some of them like a little bit because some of them are my family's friends and stuff like that. I think everyone wanted to show their condolences, but I was trying to grieve at the same time as being like a bit social, so it was a bit yeah, I was a bit anxious.
yeah, I could imagine. Wow.
And it's funny because you think getting back to the prison, um, I'd be I'd be sad, even more sad because now I need to go back to prison. But it was actually like a relief to go back to prison from that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, apart from being able to hold my son, which having my son there was like my safety blanket, I guess, from the whole situation. So apart from that, yeah, it was a relief to actually go back to jail and just be with my own thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Do you still suffer social anxiety from,
No,
yeah, no, you're
no.
all
I
good.
I never really suffered social anxiety, but when you come from being
Straight.
segregated, being segregated by yourself for so long, and then straight into like an environment where you have to be like social to everyone, yeah, it gets to you.
Yeah. And then
Mm.
that's the other thing, like you also mentioned that your partner left you while you're in jail. So you've lost your dad, you've lost, your partner's broken up with you. I mean, that would have
Mm.
broken so many people. Like the best
Yeah.
when you
Well, I was broken. Well, I was broken. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it didn't break me, but it did break me. But then I was able to build from that broken state. So
yeah,
that's what a lot of people can't really do. They can't rebuild once they lose.
yeah. And where was the turning point? How did you turn it all around? When did that all sort of happen? I'm assuming
It was a
when.
process. Like you can't just like it's not just one thing that happens and then that's it. You're a new person. Like I think I said in another interview where I learned in a program where when I was in jail that you can only 80%, oh sorry, 90% of tomorrow's thoughts are the same as today's thoughts. So you can only change a little bit at a time, but so it was a process. So
Yeah,
I guess that month where dad passed away, my ex left me, my appeal come back, where I thought I was gonna get out. Um, being in segregation, losing other shit and shit going on. So that was the big turning point. But like things happened in stages. Like even when in the early stages when I was put into segregation for stuffing up for whatever reason, every time I went in there was a Bible in there. So then that was like a little stage. Then I was having thoughts about I want to turn to God and I'd start praying and then read the Bible. So it all happened in little stages.
yeah. So you found God, and that was sort of one of the bigger turning points. How did?
Yeah. Definitely. But then that also, um, I'd find God, start praying, start reading the Bible, then I'd go out and then get bored again and start like fucking up again, I guess, and then um get put back in segregation. There's another go through the whole
Process?
process again and then yeah, I think that happened about 4 times before I actually got it.
Yeah. And do you still pray to God now? Is
Yeah,
that, yeah, you attend
yeah,
church
yeah, every week.
a week? And is that a big part of your life now? Like a big part of the person you are now?
Yeah, I wish I could actually give more time to God and I should be I should be giving more time to God, especially where he's brought me from. But yeah, times there's not enough hours in
You're
a
a busy
day at the
guy,
moment.
man.
So,
You're flat out, which I want to talk about in a minute with you.
which is no excuse, but yeah, it's got to get to yeah. I just need to keep trying, I guess. I can't forget about what he's done for me.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to just to go back to the prison, and then I want to talk about your life now. But there was an article that I read, which I'll just quickly read a little bit of it. Prisoners facing charges over a violent prison riot at the Goulburn Supermax jail in southern New South Wales have appeared in court. 15 inmates at the high security section of the jail are accused of rioting for several hours on Saturday afternoon in September. The Goulburn local court heard that all those accused of taking part in the riot would be pleading not guilty. Now, were you involved in that riot? Like your name was on that article. Was that something you were involved in?
Yeah, I was charged with that, right?
And was that like something you started or
Definitely didn't start. It was happened in a different yard than mine. So that happened in the Aboriginal yard. They got taken off barbecues or something. Um, and me being me, I was any sort of mayhem. I sort of wanted to be involved in it. So then,
Yeah.
me and a couple other guys got involved. We all convinced the yard to stay to keep everyone else to not get locked in, and then refuse muster as we did, and then which muster means line up and get locked in the cell at the time where we're supposed to get locked in the cell. So we all refused to do that, and um yeah, then the riot kicked off, and cans are getting thrown everywhere, and um I don't think any officers actually. Oh, I think a couple of officers got hit by some cans, but there's fences, and then about 30 or 40 gas canisters got let off in the yard. So then everyone was just choking on gas. So
Yes. Wow.
yeah, it's not pleasant.
Yeah, I could imagine. Um,
Yeah.
and what's the prison like after a riot? Like the first few days after the riot, is it like you're all locked in your cell? Is it a
First few
different?
days you still get the gas on your clothes. So you still get the gas in your
Oh,
eyes,
really?
and then it's like being pepper sprayed. Yeah. So to just get rid of the gas, it takes a few days. But I think there was a few days, there was about a week where we were locked in, and then they let they let people out in, so
Yeah.
they will have the guards there with the guns and stuff like that, and they let them out for an hour today, and then 2 hours the next day. It's a process.
Wow. And you also had your son while you're in jail, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How hard
So
was that?
um, at the time I was too focused on other shit to make it too hard. Even when the first time he come visit me, I did like he was just a little baby. I didn't want to really hold him. I didn't know how to hold a baby. I didn't know those sort of, because I was the first one in my family to have a baby. Like I didn't know anything about raising a baby or anything like that. So I just knew we needed money. So
Yeah.
that's what I was focused on, getting money.
While you're in jail, you're making money.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So that's another one of my charges where um proceeds of crime,
Okay.
which was me selling drugs while I was in jail.
Wow. Is there a lot of drugs in jail?
Plenty, plenty.
Yeah.
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 80%, I would say 80% of prisoners are drug users, so they're all focused on getting drugs in jail. So you
Yeah.
would expect there to be drugs in jail.
And do you think there's not enough, is there enough rehabilitation like to help them in jail to stop that?
I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough. I think um, they have courses like, and they have incentives to do these courses. And they're like anger management and stuff like that, but they just go through the process. Even the education officers, which the SAPOs, even they say, "Oh, we're just going to go through the module. Just everyone, just like let's get through it." They use the words, which is a good way to convince the inmates like to just sit there and listen to the words. But it also can put them off and say, "Oh, listen, it doesn't really matter. Like this stuff doesn't matter. Let's just get through it and just move on." But
Yeah.
I think vocational courses should be the main focus. So you do uh, anger management or drug rehabilitation programs, but they need to be asked, what do you want to do when you get out? What's an ideal job, or what's two ideal jobs, and then give them tickets to be able to get those jobs when they got out, because a lot of people they commit crime for necessity. So if they don't have to do that crime because they've got other options, then I'd say 50% of them would probably turn to that other option instead of just keep coming back to jail. Like if you get somehow inmates to get a scaffolding ticket or a riggers ticket and then find them a job when they get out, and it's a good paying job, like it's
Yeah.
just long hours, it's going to keep them out of trouble. It's going to get them money to not have to commit crime.
Yeah, and that was interesting you say that because one thing I've learned is, you get released, you get put out the front, you got a little bit of money, and that's it. Like, there's no
Yeah,
one to sort of help you. If you don't have family, there's no help to like, where do you go next?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And then they'll just go back to crime and just because they need money or they like taking drugs because they haven't had proper rehabilitation or they haven't had proper anger management and they still got issues with somebody and they want to go hurt them and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is that something you'd ever like to do in the future? Help people that have got out of jail, get a job, get focused?
I wanted to maybe like get involved in some sort of juvenile pathway. Um, but I'm in the process of trying to fight a WWCC, which is working with children's check, which they didn't pass on me because of my past. So
Oh, really?
when that
Son.
happens, I want to, sorry?
You got a son, and they're not going to pass a children.
Yeah,
The red
I
tape.
know.
It's crazy.
And there's no reason for them to put that on me because there's no offense that has
It's
anything to do with children or anything like that. It's just another way for them. Um, I don't even know why they've done it, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to sit here and speak for them, so I'm not going to say anything negative towards them. It's just they didn't give it to me, so now I've got to fight it, and it was for no reason. So I've given them all the reasons why I need it because I want to do sports coaching for kids. And I'd like to do some sort of pathways for people for kids ended up in juvie or even before when they hit juvie, once they once they do a crime, um, which I wish I had a mentor when I first done a crime, because if I had a mentor that showed me a different way, then I could have went down that different way. Even though I'm happy where I am now and
yeah,
my past has shaped me, I still, if I could get 12 and a half years back and have another path, who knows what I would have been.
definitely.
Um, yeah, so
And that's one thing
I,
I,
I'd
I always think about. One is why don't prisons and things have people like yourself that are reformed and doing the right thing that have been through that life, helping, they employ these other people that have got no idea. Like, absolutely,
yeah,
you've probably seen a lot of those type of people in, you know,
yeah,
those positions that are just, they've got no idea what they're doing or talking about. Like, put someone like yourself to help people,
yeah,
help.
because
Uh,
I've been in their footsteps. So I think enough time with kids struggling. Like I'm not just gonna have 6 weeks or 2 days a week where I can go and speak to them and then they're changed. Like
yeah,
you need to have a bit more time. You need to be involved in their life, get to know them pretty well, and then I think I could help a lot of kids, I reckon.
Mhm.
Even a lot of the adults, to be honest, because they're similar. Like they get out of jail, they don't know what they want to do. It's just a lot of adults when they get to about 28, 29, 30, they've had that much drugs where
Yeah,
there's an imbalance in their brain where they can't really learn a new skill or a new way of life. They're just stuck in what they're doing. But children can be shaped, right? So if you can shape them to steer them away from something that's going to end them in prison for 10 years, um, it's a lot easier than doing it for an adult.
definitely. And you've achieved absolute greatness. I mean, like I said, I've listened to your podcast that you've done and learned about you prior to doing this, and the things that you're doing now, absolutely amazing. And
Yeah,
you could do what go and help other kids go down that right path. It'd be
yeah.
brilliant.
I guess I heard something a long time ago. What was it? You measure twice, cut once. So like I sort of like took that and like put it into play where I'd measure my future more than twice. I'd measure it so many times to make it this is what I want, this is the path I'm going through.
Yeah.
And I've done that all in jail. That's all that self-reflection that I've done in jail. That's I was measuring the whole time. And when I got out of jail, then I started cutting. And that's all from planning. my future. So,
Wow. And now where you're at, I'd love for you to just tell the listeners and viewers you're successful personal trainer. You got a studio.
I know I train out of a gym, so I pay rent to a gym. I got full client list, um, pretty much booked out. I got my own office, which is full of my
Well, your certificates, man.
achievements.
You got more than me.
Yeah, all my achievements. I even got a sort of clothes label where I sell clothes on the side. I've got a cafe which come from training one of my clients with opportunity come up to get involved in that.
Oh, actually, I was about to
Yeah.
ask you about
Well,
that. I saw it on Instagram. So that's your cafe, is it?
yeah, I got a party in that cafe.
Awesome.
I yeah, and that's all come from pro-social um environment, being in the gym and talking to a lot of people and training the right people. People actually get to know you and people want a connection.
Yeah.
That's what people actually like. People want connection with other community members. So if you become part of that community, you don't know what opportunities are going to pop up.
Yeah.
So now I'm in that mindset where now I want to be I want to do stuff for the community. I want to help other people because yeah, that's how you form connections. Even I run a boot camp down the river and one of the guys were telling me he had a product that he was coming and he was helping the setup and stuff like that by giving out prizes and stuff at the boot camp. And he met one of the other sponsors, I would call them, for my event. And now they've hooked up and they're doing business and stuff together. All from a connection with the community. So, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of little connections that I form by creating these community events, which have a positive outcome. So, even for me. So,
No, you're doing good things. That's it. Just shows it can be done. Like you can do it. You can make.
yeah, it can. Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely can. With the right mindset and the right attitude. Um, and shit goes wrong still, like things happen that are but then I just say back to myself, like, at least I'm not in jail.
Yeah.
Like I need to get up tomorrow and then work harder because something didn't work out the way I wanted it to yesterday. So how can I change that? I can't let it get me down. I have to go to sleep and then wake up in the morning and get at it.
Yeah. Do you
Mm.
struggle to sleep? Like spending a big part of your life in jail, is it a struggle to sleep now?
It's funny, in jail I slept like 8, 9 hours a day and now I don't sleep that long. Um, it's still all exciting. It's still all exciting for me to be out of jail, even though it's been over 18 months. Yeah, so I can go to sleep pretty easy. It's just when I find time to sleep because now I've filled my time up. So
Sure.
that's another thing that helped me with rehabilitation is filling your time up. So from when you wake up, you have to have structure, just like you do in jail, you have structure. So you have to find your own structure outside, which it took me 4 times to get out of jail to actually learn I need pro-social such structure. So as soon as I wake up this time, I'll do this, this, and this. I need to be at work, or at the start it wasn't work first. I needed to do whatever else I was doing to
Yeah.
achieve those goals. I needed to go study. I needed to block out time to study. I needed to yeah, I was just filled my time up. So
Amazing. And that's one thing that stands out about you is your determination is like it's next level. And you're just saying, you go to sleep and you'll tackle it the next day. You'll get into it, whatever it is. Something's gone wrong. You'll make it work. You talk about the working with children's check. They've denied it, but you're going to look at ways to make that
yeah,
work.
I'm already in the process of appealing it. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think having someone like yourself that could teach kids and put them on the right track, and
And I think I would be good. I honestly think like I'm confident that I could do well in that space,
yeah,
given the opportunity. Um, yeah, even running training sessions. Like I've envisioned what I actually want to do, running training sessions and then having a sit down and finding out a bit about them. Like I've envisioned it, I've sort of planned it. It's just I haven't been given the opportunity and I haven't created the opportunity for myself. So
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll happen.
definitely. No, I can't wait to see it. I know I've kept it for a long time, and I'll wrap up in a sec. But do you think, like my daughter's about to turn 13 this weekend, and I've seen a lot change from, she's been living with me full time since she was 3. And do you think where kids are like at that age now, 12 or 13, access to social media and all those type of things, do you think it's a lot harder for kids? Do you think they see things that they shouldn't see and it puts them on a different track in life?
On social media,
Yeah,
uh, there wasn't social media. There wasn't much social media when I was a kid, so it's something that I haven't looked into much. But I guess anything that a kid wants to see or find out, they can look it up online. So if they've got a curiosity to something,
yeah,
whatever it is, they can find it.
yeah,
And then once they start talking about it and find it, not, there's algorithms in social media which target you for that
right, yeah,
sort of like you talk about can energy drinks. You start seeing and then you're talking about it, you're looking it up, you're going to start seeing ads for energy drinks. So it's the same for a 13-year-old kid, whatever they're interested in, they start looking it up, started talking to their friends about it, they're going to start seeing ads about it, and then they're going to excel those thoughts. So hopefully they don't talk about or look up negative things, I guess.
definitely, definitely. Do you have any regrets?
Plenty of regrets, but I don't regret where I am right now. So I have, obviously, I regret hurting anyone that I've hurt. I regret um, committing any offenses that I've committed. Um, but it's all shaped me. So I don't regret the person I am, and all those experiences made me this person, but I do regret so many things. Yeah. 12 and a half years in jail, I regret that whole thing. Like
Yeah,
12 and a half years I spent looking at pretty much four walls when I could have been doing other stuff in the community or living living life and creating opportunities.
definitely. All right. It's been amazing to talk to you and learn about your life and what you're doing now. I'm going to throw a link up to all your social media pages and cafe and anyone that needs personal training in Sydney to like go to you because I reckon you'd make someone pretty big.
Yeah, it definitely could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, been amazing. Thank you so much. And this will be up all over the YouTube channel and it'll reach the whole world. It'll be amazing.
Cool. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks so much for your time and
Appreciate the opportunity.
yeah, no, it's been amazing. I hope it's been all been okay.
Yeah, it has. I'm a bit tired today, so
Yeah.
I didn't yeah.
No, all good, man. Appreciate it. And if I'm ever in Sydney, I'll give you a call. We'll catch up.
Yeah, definitely. I'll come run you through a training session at the gym.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be in that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
All right,
Sounds
man.
good.
Enjoy
All
the
right,
rest of
man.
your day.
You too. See ya.
Okay. See you, brother. Bye. That was episode 65 of Talking Prisoner. Thank you so much for watching. I need to ask you a huge favor, and it's not going to cost you a cent. If you could please just like our page, our YouTube channel, please subscribe to it, Talking Prisoner, and that will help me in a massive way. The more subscribers I can get, the more amazing interviews I can put on this channel. This will also be available across all the podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google, and wherever you get your podcast from. Actually, no, not Google. Google stopped their podcast. And also on the talkingprisoner.com website. My name is Matt Batten. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.
I used to give her roses. I wish I could again, but that was on the outside. and things were different then. We'd build our world together, sharing all the love we'd known, till I had to face the nightmare of waking up alone. On the inside the sun still shines, and the rain falls down, but the sun and rain are prisoners too when morning comes around. Last night I dreamed we were together, sharing all the love we'd known, till I had to face the nightmare of waking up alone. On the inside the sun still shines, and the rain falls down, but the sun and rain are prisoners too when morning comes around. On the inside the roses grow, they don't mind the stony ground, but the roses here are prisoners too when morning comes around. I used to give her roses, I wish I could again, but that was on the outside, and things were different